take a moment to arrive where you are. You don't need to go anywhere else. You don't need to be anywhere else. This moment is enough. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to solve, nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to prepare for. Sleep does not require effort. It does not require planning. It does not require control. It arrives on its own. For now, just resting here, allowing the body to be supported, allowing the moment to be exactly as it is. If your eyes are open, they can close. If they are already closed, that's fine too. There is no right way to be right now. No correct position, no correct posture, no correct feeling. You are safe, supported, held. The surface beneath you is doing the work. You don't need to hold yourself up. You don't need to stay alert. You don't need to stay aware. The day can remain outside this moment. Everything that happened earlier can stay where it is. Nothing from the day needs your attention right now. You can return to it later if you choose to. Right now, there is nothing required of you. No effort, no performance, no expectation. You don't need to listen closely. You don't need to follow the words. The sound of my voice can stay in the background, like a distant sound, like something you don't need to pay attention to. If your attention drifts, that's completely fine. It doesn't need to return. It doesn't need to focus. It can wander freely. You don't need to check if it's working. You don't need to monitor how relaxed you feel. There is no state you need to reach, no depth you need to achieve. Rest does not require your attention. It happens quietly in the background, even if your mind is still awake, even if thoughts come and go. That's allowed. You don't need to push them away. You don't need to follow them. They can pass on their own. Nothing needs to be managed. Nothing needs to be controlled. You are allowed to slow down now, allowed to soften, allowed to stop doing, allowed to stop trying. You can let go of trying to rest. Let go of trying to relax. Let go of trying to sleep. The body already knows how to rest. The mind already knows how to slow. You don't need to remind it. Just allowing yourself to be here. Nothing else. Just this quiet moment. Just this gentle pause. Just this space to do nothing. You are safe to stop trying now. Safe to stop effort, safe to rest. Everything can continue without you watching it, without you guiding it, without you staying aware, resting, arriving, settling, and everything can begin to slow on its own. Now that you've arrived, there is nothing else you need to do. You can allow the body to breathe on its own. There's no need to change the breath, no need to slow it down, no need to deepen it, no need to guide it in any way. The breath already knows what to do. It has been moving without your help all day, all night, all your life. You can trust it to continue now. Breathing in, breathing out, happening naturally, without effort, without control. You don't need to follow the inhale. You don't need to follow the exhale. You don't need to stay with the breath at all. If you happen to notice breathing, that's fine. If you don't notice it, that's fine too. There's nothing you need to pay attention to. Nothing you need to stay aware of. The breath can remain in the background, like a quiet rhythm you don't need to listen for, like a soft movement that continues on its own. If thoughts appear while you're resting here, that's okay. They don't interrupt the breath. They don't interfere with rest. They can pass through while breathing continues. Nothing needs to sync up. Nothing needs to align. Nothing needs to match the breath. Everything can move at its own pace. You might notice the body softening a little more now. Or you might not notice anything at all. Either experience is fine. There is no correct way to feel here. No right sensation. No right depth. Just breathing, continuing quietly. Supporting rest without effort. You don't need to stay present with it. You don't need to stay focused on it. If your attention drifts, that's allowed. It doesn't need to return. The breath will continue whether you notice it or not, just as it should, just as it always does. You can let go of checking in now. Let go of monitoring. Let go of trying to rest. The body already knows how to settle. The breath already knows how to slow. You don't need to help it. You don't need to guide it. You don't need to stay aware. You can allow breathing to fade into the background. Less noticeable, less defined, less important. Just one of many things continuing quietly. Breathing, resting, unnoticed, and happening on its own. Now gently bringing attention to the body, not to change anything, not to adjust anything, just noticing that the body is here, supported by the surface beneath you, held without effort. You don't need to move. You don't need to shift. You can allow the body to be exactly as it is. Starting at the top of the head, there is no need to imagine anything. Just noticing if there is any effort there. If there is, it can soften. The scalp can rest. The forehead can smooth. The eyes can rest back. Heavy, quiet. The cheeks can loosen. The jaw can unclench. The tongue can rest where it is. Nothing to hold. Nothing to brace. The neck can soften. The shoulders can drop. Just a little. No need to push them down. They can release on their own. The arms can feel heavy, resting along the sides of the body, or wherever they happen to be. The elbows can soften. The forearms can rest. The hands can be still. The fingers can loosen. Nothing to hold. Nothing to grip. Just resting. The chest can soften, rising and falling on its own. No need to follow it. No need to guide it. The stomach can soften. There is nothing it needs to hold in. Nothing it needs to hold up. The lower back can rest, supported, held. The hips can become heavy, settling downward. The thighs can relax. The knees can soften. No need to lock them. The calves can rest. The ankles can loosen. The feet can fall outward or inward. Whatever is natural. The toes can soften. No need to hold them still. The entire body resting together. Not separate. Not divided. One whole shape supported completely. You don't need to check the body again. You don't need to scan for tension. If anything remains tight, that's okay. It can soften later. Or it can stay as it is. Nothing needs to change. The body knows how to settle. It has been doing this for a long time. You don't need to help it. You don't need to guide it. Just allowing the weight to sink. Heavier. Quieter. More settled. And everything continues on its own. Now begin to count down. Not to reach a goal, to get anywhere, just as a way to let the mind drift. You don't need to remember the numbers. You don't need to keep track. If you lose your place, that's perfectly fine. The counting will continue, whether you follow it or not. Starting now. 10. Nothing to do. 9. Nothing to hold. 8. Letting go. 7. No effort needed. 6. The body resting. 5. The mind softening. 4. Drifting downward. 3. Slowing. 2. Almost nothing. 1. Rest. There is no need to start again. No need to repeat the numbers. You can let them fade. If another number appears, you don't need to follow it. The mind can stay loose, open, unfocused, resting. Sometimes the mind likes to count. Sometimes it doesn't. Either way is fine. You don't need to restart. You don't need to finish. The numbers can come and go on their own. You might notice a number forming and then fading before it finishes. That's fine. You might notice that counting feels far away, distant, unimportant. There is no correct order, no correct sequence, just the feeling of moving downward, like sinking into the surface beneath you. Lower, heavier, quieter, less defined. If the mind tries to check the count, it can let that go. If the mind tries to do it right, it can let that go too. This is not a task, not a test, not something to complete. Just a soft downward motion, a gentle fading, a quiet loosening. If the mind wants to hear the numbers again, they can return softly, not as effort, not as work, just as background. 10. Floating. 9. Drifting. 8. Softening. 7. Sinking. 6. Releasing. 5. Slowing. 4. Easing down. 3. Less and less. 2. Almost gone. 1. Quiet. If counting disappears completely, that's a good sign. If sleep arrives, You don't need to notice it. Nothing is required. Nothing is expected. The mind can let go of sequence, let go of structure, let go of direction. The numbers can dissolve into quiet, into stillness, into rest, drifting without counting, without tracking, without effort, and everything continues on its own. You don't need to do anything now. There's nothing to focus on, nothing to hold in mind, nothing to follow or keep track of. You can allow awareness to become open, not focused on any one thing, not directed anywhere, just open, loose, unfixed. There's no need to listen closely, no need to stay with the words. The sound of my voice can drift in and out, sometimes noticeable, sometimes not. If you hear the words, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. Awareness can soften now. It doesn't need to stay clear. It doesn't need to stay organized. Like a thought that fades before finishing. Like an image that dissolves on its own. You don't need to notice this happening. You don't need to track where you are. There is no place you're meant to reach. No state you're meant to arrive at. You can stop checking now. Stop monitoring. Stop wondering how it's going. Nothing needs to be measured. Nothing needs to be evaluated. Rest doesn't require your attention. It happens quietly in the background. Even if thoughts come and go, even if images appear and fade, even if nothing seems to happen at all, everything is allowed to remain unfinished, unresolved, uncollected. You don't need to make sense of anything. You don't need to organize experience. You can let awareness spread out, without edges, without a center, like a soft field with nothing in particular to attend to. If thoughts appear, they don't need meaning. They don't need answers. They don't need to continue. They can fade before becoming clear. If sensations appear, they don't need labels. They don't need explanation. You can pass without attention. You don't need to stay present. You don't need to stay aware. You don't need to remain awake. The body already knows how to fall asleep. The mind already knows how to let go. You don't need to help it. You don't need to guide it. Awareness can feel distant now, as if it's drifting further away, as if it's becoming less important. The voice can soften into the background, like a sound you don't need to listen to, like something that doesn't require attention. Time doesn't need to be noticed here. Moments can blur together, one moment melting into the next. You don't need to know how long you've been here. You don't need to know what comes next. Sleep can come whenever it's ready, and you can drift into it without noticing the moment it happens. Everything can continue on its own. Now we let everything deepen. Nothing new to notice. Nothing to keep track of. Just the feeling of going further down. Not moving anywhere. Just becoming heavier. Quieter. More distant. The body can sink more fully into the surface beneath you. Supported completely. Held without effort. Breathing continues slowly and quietly. You don't need to notice it. You don't need to follow it. It can fade into the background. Thoughts can become slower now, less clear, less connected. They can drift past without forming meaning, or they can stop forming altogether. Either way is fine. Awareness can feel very far away, as if it's thinning out, as if attention isn't needed anymore. You don't need to listen to these words. You don't need to understand them. They can pass through like a distant sound, fading in and out, sometimes present, sometimes not. If there are gaps between thoughts, they can widen. If there are gaps between awareness, they can widen too. Nothing needs to fill them. Nothing needs to happen there. Just quiet, stillness, rest. The mind can let go of staying awake. Let go of staying aware. Let go of staying present. Sleep can take over gently, gradually, naturally, without being noticed. You don't need to stay here with these words. You don't need to listen anymore. The sound can fade without being noticed, just like other sounds fade as sleep deepens. Awareness can dissolve into the background, softly, gradually, without effort. The body is already resting deeply. The mind is already slowing down. Everything important has already been done. There is nothing left that needs your attention. Nothing left that needs awareness. Nothing left that needs to be held. If thoughts appear, they can fade immediately, before they finish forming, before they become clear. If awareness flickers, it can disappear again, without effort, without resistance. Sleep can deepen quietly now, without being marked, without needing permission. The space between thoughts can widen further. The space between awareness can widen further too. Nothing needs to fill that space. Nothing needs to happen there. Just rest. Just quiet. Just stillness. You don't need to stay present. You don't need to stay aware. You don't need to stay awake. Sleep can take over completely now. Naturally. Easily. On its own. And everything continues on its own.